Hello all and welcome to All Red. The wake of Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah's contract renewals is here, which means that we need to talk about what this means for Liverpool Football Club moving forward as Liverpool are set to renew Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk. As always, welcome Aaron, our London Red. How are you feeling about all this, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm happy that this saga has come to an end. It's taken a while, and listen, for me, the two most important signatures getting done. That's my opinion. Yeah, I think Trent we can manage because we've got really good cover in Bradley, and if we bring in a really good, backup right back, or even someone that'll compete with Bradley, I think we're in a great place.
Yeah, I agree. So I've got 5 things here to kind of break down what this means for Liverpool moving forward in the near future. First and foremost, what this means is Slot does rate Mohamed Salah. I think in my mind, over the course of this season, I'm wondering, like, okay, new manager, new style of play. Does he actually want to keep Mo Salah? And I know that probably sounds crazy for a guy who's got over 50 goal contributions, has been the best player in the Premier League. But Mo Salah's style of play is really interesting. It's, different than what he was 5 years ago. His, kind of more, not quite as direct, isn't able to beat defenders one-on-one as much, and yet still contributes in a crazy amount. And so some of that's probably, recency bias with kind of his fall off. But I think this does mean that Arne Slot has plans for Mo Salah, at least in the next couple of years. And I think that's the right thing to do. Aaron, what do you think about Slot's? I think it's maybe the political view of, does Slot feel pressured to start Mohamed Salah? We know kind of from history with Jurgen Klopp and Mo Salah. Do you think that's an issue, or do you think this is just kind of water under the bridge and it's all going to be good?
It's hard to say really, just because his stats are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
This guy scores pretty much near enough every game. He's assisting 1 and 2. His figures, his numbers are phenomenal. But when he's not quite at it, there has to be a point where Slot has someone to turn to, and I don't think we've seen that, unfortunately. I think Salah has played a lot of minutes of football. And it looks a little bit like we don't have that kind of plan B. If Salah doesn't quite work, we don't have that replacement for Salah.
Right.
I'd like to see someone challenge Salah, and someone that would maybe take 20, 25 minutes at the end of a game where maybe Salah's not quite at. I know he's a game changer, Salah, but someone that could maybe take over and offer something slightly different, maybe beating a man or a little bit more pace.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how Salah is managed over these next couple of years.
Yep, I agree. And I think that's a great point in that when Salah is not contributing, he's actually pretty poor. And I know, like, I'm really not trying to criticize Mo Salah. It's just his style of play, and what he offers now. If he is not scoring or contributing, we looked at his stats a couple days ago in a video, and they were quite shocking over the last couple days. So we'll leave it at that. The thing here is Arne Slot rates Salah. He's going to be part of his team for, I think, at least the next couple of years. And I think that's good. I think that's the right thing to do as the club.
It's great news. It's great news, Sam. Honestly, his numbers are incredible. So you can't. There's not much you can say about Salah.
No.
Just them little things of beating men, and sometimes it's hard watch. But he's incredible. And I rate Salah, and I'm massively, I'm incredibly happy that he stayed.
Yeah. Same thing here with Virgil van Dijk. We've retained our captain. I think Virgil van Dijk was actually the most important signature out of the 3 that Liverpool needed to get done. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is he's the captain, right? You lose a captain, and immediately you are spiraling into a rebuild, no matter what's going on, especially with a captain like Virgil van Dijk, who is the heart and soul of our defense. And when you have a guy like Virg, who I think most people would say, yes, he is either the greatest Premier League defender of all time, or he is absolutely in the conversation. You can't replace that. You really can't replace that, at least not right away. And the same could be said about Mo Salah, one of the best Premier League players and scorers and contributors of all time. But Virg he is the heart and soul of this team. Everything runs through him, and he's the leader of our squad. So I think the fact that you've retained your captain, Virgil, he's had a few rough games in the last couple of weeks. I'm not worried about him. He's still at the top levels. And I think this was the most important signature for Liverpool to retain. Number 3, if I can get it to come up here, there it is. I think this means Liverpool have to be title favorites again. Now, I'll say that with a little caveat, Aaron, in that I don't think most of the pundits are going to pick Liverpool just because they really never do. I've already heard people saying, actually, I think Arsenal is going to be the favorites in 2025, 2026. They just keep getting better every year, and it has to be their year. I think that's a load of garbage because you look at the gap right now at the top.
Yeah. Are they better this year, though, Sam? Are they better? I mean,
they're not
they were better last year.
They're not better this year. No, they're actually quite disappointing. But you look at the gap, right? 11 points right now. And this is without Liverpool signing really anyone for 2 years. And now I think you're going to go into a summer where Arne Slot, Richard Hughes have some, hopefully, green lights to make some signings. But the fact that you've retained Virgil and Salah, I think it has to mean that Liverpool are still up there in the title favorites. What do you think about that, Aaron?
I think you'd be surprised by pundits. I think keeping, Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk, I think you might see some of the pundits saying, I can't really see past Liverpool. Because, Man City, unless Man City go out and spend another 250, 300 million, they're not looking likely to compete at the moment. I know their players need to, get a bit more ingrained in the team and stuff like that. But,
yeah,
they still look a million miles away. Arsenal look closer, and they do look good and things like this. But, the likes of Saliba, Real Madrid will come knocking on the door soon for the Saliba, who is, he's top 2, top 3 centre-backs in world football at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's just a natural progression for the players like Saliba. And listen, Arsenal, they're the almost team at the moment, aren't they? And they're doing well in the Champions League, which is great. But, they haven't won anything yet.
No.
So we'll see. If they win the Champions League, there's no reason why they can't be favourites for the Premier League, winning something like the Champions League for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, title favourites. I'll take title favourites all day. I'm quite happy to go in as the underdog, Sam, and everyone be surprised.
Yeah,
we weren't supposed to do it this year, were we?
Nope. Nope. Look how that's worked out. Here's what I'm going to say about number 4. I think this enables Liverpool to build this new Arne Slot house on a good, solid foundation, right? If Trent, Virgil, and Mo leave, you're not just losing talent, you're losing experience, you're losing players who have won the Premier League, who have won the Champions League before. And I think by keeping those 2 in particular, because I still think Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving, but you keep those 2 and you have this now good, solid foundation to start building that new house, that new Arne Slot house at Liverpool, which I think is crucial because it means that we're not going to have, I don't think we're going to have this big dip, right? Where it's like, okay, we're going to start over. You look at Man City this year, they waited probably too long to replace some of the older players like Kevin De Bruyne, Kyle Walker, and so on. But Liverpool still have that really solid foundation to build a new house. And that means you can start bringing in these understudies. I don't think we have a Mo Salah understudy at Liverpool right now. I don't think we have a Virgil van Dijk understudy right now. So you get them in this summer, hopefully, and you start kind of getting them into that role of being the understudy to Mo Salah, being the heir to that right wing, being the heir to the center back and the heart of that defense. So I think this is going to be a really crucial summer and a really crucial year next year in how Liverpool are able to develop that talent. Aaron, what do you think about that with just the next year or two in kind of that Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk area, two of those areas in this team?
Yeah, I mean, if we focus, I mean, listen, right back and left back, there's going to be stuff going on there.
Yeah.
That's pretty much a guarantee. It's in pretty much every outlet that Liverpool are going to do business, right back, left back. But yeah, an understudy to Mo Salah for me is being the missing piece. I thought that was Chiesa.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he just hasn't been given game time. But I'd like to see someone come in at a good age, maybe a 21, 22-year-old right winger that can look up to Salah and say, listen, I'm looking at arguably the best right winger in Premier League history, and he's going to hand the baton over to me. For me, what better introduction into right wing play, for a top club in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Listen, and Virgil van Dijk, someone like, and you put the picture on there for Dean Huijsen. He's a fabulous young talent. I think he's 6'5", 6'6", this guy. So we keep that kind of aerial presence. And he looks a real baller. And someone of the ilk, someone of that kind of caliber, Dean Huijsen at that type of age.
Yep.
I mean, who better to learn from than Virgil van Dijk? Konate has turned into a beast. He's had a couple of ropey games as well, similarly to sort of Virgil van Dijk. But what a player Konate is. We're talking about him in the top 3, 4, 5 centre backs in the Premier League currently.
Yep.
Learning from one of the best players to play in the Premiership at centre back. So, listen, the future is. We're signing these two back up, Sam. My opinion is that the future is bright. It's down to FSG now to go out and secure these backup talents to the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Salah now. And if they do that, and bring in the striker that we envisage coming into the club as well.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't be competing on all fronts again next season.
Absolutely. Well, let us know what you think in the comments. Get them in below. And as always, up the Reds.